This is the full story of how I was able to purchase a duplex in 2017 with my VA loan putting 0% down, and how it's translated to being able to afford a luxury cabin in Broken Bow, Oklahoma. What's up, guys? My name is McKeown. I'm a licensed real estate agent and investor in the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas. Now, that all dates back to the summer of 2016. Now, the summer of 2016, I had an unfortunate, and I guess now fast forward, 7 years ago, a very fortunate situation where a relationship didn't work out. Now, at the time, I realized what codependency was, and I've gone over this a few times myself, so I won't get into too much detail, but really that relationship ending, and not because of my own likening, is what led me to real estate. Now, in the summer of 2016, really until the summer of 2017, I spent a whole year trying to buy an investment property in San Antonio, Texas. Now, along with trying to buy an investment property, I had no help whatsoever, not with my local agent that was helping me. They had no idea what investing was. However, I did do a lot of reading. I did a ton of watching different podcasts. I networked with as many people as I could locally in the San Antonio area, and I just essentially was a sponge when it came to real estate investing. However, due to my first year of teaching and the job that was located in San Antonio, I was essentially not fired, but not set for rehirement. So I wound up moving for my second year of teaching up to the Dallas-Fort Worth area in the summer of 2017. Now, at the time here, I had already done about 12 months of research. I had technically gotten about 4 properties, maybe 5 properties under contract, wasted a lot of money on earnest money, on appraisals, on inspections, and actually got really close to purchasing one, but the verification of employment on the last week before closing came back negative. So when it came to moving to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I knew I wanted to buy a property as soon as possible. And fortunately enough, because I was so motivated and really just anxious to get a property under my belt with my VA loan, I was able to find something really within the first 30 or 45 days. I got under contract on it, was able to negotiate a fair price, and was even able to roll in my commissions on the deal to basically not pay any money out of pocket. Now, this particular duplex was in East Plano, not necessarily the best area of town, and it was an area that was still developing from, I guess, homes that were built more in the 80s and 90s. Now, on top of that, I inherited a tenant on the left-hand side. I moved into the right side, and I immediately found 2 tenants, or I guess 2 people that were close to my age, decided to rent out the 2 bedrooms upstairs. My side was a 3-bedroom, so I lived downstairs, and collect the rent from the other side. Now, over the course of the next 5 years, I had a lot of hiccups and a lot of, I guess, lessons learned. Now, a couple of those lessons that I did learn, I can go ahead and just break down here for you. First and foremost, make sure you do a ton of due diligence when it comes to putting a tenant in your rental property. I actually have one that stopped paying. That was the tenant that I wound up inheriting, so I really didn't have any choice there. But that tenant wound up essentially not paying. I had to go through an eviction process on my first rental property. And then I kind of gambled with a tenant that I wound up putting in on the right side shortly after I moved out. Now, that tenant did pay me for about maybe 4.5 years. So consistent rent. And if they weren't paying it, they actually got the city to pay it because they were lower income. But when it came to actually selling the property last summer, they absolutely trashed the place. So yes, make sure you're doing your due diligence and don't make any exceptions when it comes to putting a tenant in place. And if you do, just hope you're a little bit more lucky than I was. Now, also when it came to this property, there was a handful of CapEx that I had to replace. Probably the biggest thing being a leak on the left-hand side when we had a substantial winter storm here in February of 2020. No, actually, I think it was February of 2021. And that particular instance was a little bit more kind because I was able to file an insurance claim, but still cost me a couple $1,000s. I guess the biggest out-of-pocket expense for that was replacing an HVAC, which may have ran me about $5,000 to $6,000. So now we have fast forwarded to the summer of 2022. Now, I actually put this on the market, my duplex on the market, I believe in March or April of 2022 with the intention of being at a substantially high market price with really the likelihood of selling, in my personal opinion, not very high. However, after just a few days on the market at $550, I got an outrageous offer that was higher than anything else I had for $630,000. Now, to give you guys some clarity here, I bought this property in the summer of 2017 for $285,000. So do the math real quick. What are we looking at 630 minus 285? Yep, that's right. $345,000 in appreciation over really about 5 years of owning this property. Now, this obviously is not going to happen on every single property. A lot of people will say, oh, you bought at the right time, or, oh, you got really, really lucky with just housing prices going up rapidly. Well, I may have got lucky. I may have gotten fortunate in the timing in which I bought, but I'm not going to go back and change anything. I'm going to take advantage of that $300K plus in equity, which is exactly what I did, and I rolled that into a larger investment. Now, before I get into the details of the larger investment that I rolled the proceeds into from my duplex, I will tell you I was grossing about $3,200 a month in rent from my duplex. Now, the benefit there was it was a long-term tenant on both sides, and it was consistent rent. I knew what I was going to be getting every single month, but it was roughly only about $3,000 a month. Now, fast forward to the new investment. It was actually a luxury cabin in Broken Bow, Oklahoma. If you're unfamiliar with the area of Broken Bow, it's about 3 or 3.5 hours from Dallas itself, and it's a great tourist location for people to go up, spend a long weekend there, or maybe spend some summer weeks up there, winter weeks, and enjoy the amenities that a small, tourist location may have, such as the lake, such as the mountains, such as ATVs, and kind of a smaller town getaway for folks, not just necessarily in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but potentially other areas of Louisiana, Oklahoma, as well as Arkansas. So yes, I utilized a 1031 exchange in the summer of 2022 to essentially buy a lot and a build job within a construction loan at a local bank. Now, fast forward about 12 or 14 months later, I've been able to cash out refinance to a 30-year fixed. And now since July is over, I have a rough guess of what this property is going to be bringing in every single month moving forward. Now, I will tell you, my VA loan that I had on my duplex, I actually utilized an EARL, which, if you're not familiar with, it's an interest rate reduction loan. I actually think I did it twice on my duplex. The benefit of utilizing the VA EARL, or interest rate reduction loan, is you don't technically have to be living there anymore in order to do a refinance. But unfortunately, with where rates are right now, it doesn't make a ton of sense to utilize your EARL because you're more than likely sitting on a pretty decent loan, or interest rate, I would say. But when it came to the property that I then 1031'd, it was an adjusted rate mortgage, meaning just a couple months back, it almost blew up to a 10% interest rate. So yes, I had to refinance down to about 7.5, but that 7.5 is still substantially more than what I had on my duplex. So lost a better interest rate on my duplex, but I was able to roll the proceeds into a larger investment. And to give you guys some quick numbers, roughly about a $285,000 loan on my duplex when I bought it. Didn't probably pay a ton of principal down, but fast forward to the summer of now 2023, where I've done a refinance. I technically did a cash out refinance in order to pay off all of the furnishings that I put inside the cabin. But now I'm looking, instead of a $285,000 loan, I'm looking at a $980,000 loan. So I'll just be cut and dry here. If you don't like leverage or if you don't like debt, probably not the best idea to exchange essentially a low interest $285,000 loan for a higher $980,000 loan. But the difference, again, as I mentioned before, $3,200 in gross rent, and July just ended with about $12,000 in gross rent on my cabin. And bear in mind, that's also with one weekend not even being used, because I did go up with my family and get the opportunity to enjoy it. So moving forward, yes, there will be some slower months. There will be some, higher months depending, but I'm guessing the rough range of income is going to be somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000 a month, sometimes maybe potentially more on peak seasons or potential long weekends such as Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, July 4th coming next year, so on and so forth. The potential income moving forward here, though, is going to be greater. And by greater, I mean substantially greater than what my duplex was able to provide. So moving forward here, I have a cabin that's going to be generating north of 6 figures a year. I also have a substantial amount of expenses that I've incurred this year that I'm going to be able to write off a majority of the income that I do generate from my rentals this year. And on top of that, it's probably going to push into my tax year of 2024, where I can continue to write off the losses and expenses that I expensed this year in the next tax year. So really moving forward, because of this cabin and how much it costs for me to essentially furnish and put everything inside of it, I'm likely not going to be paying any taxes on any of my rental portfolio for the year of 2023 or the year of 2024. So the power of using your VA loan. Now, is this something that's going to be obtainable by every single purchase that you make with your VA loan? Absolutely not. Now, is it something that is certainly obtainable in general? I mean, I just gave you my particular story where it happened, and that's by no means impossible for it to happen again. Technically, I have another good example where I purchased a quadplex with my VA loan in 2019, and just 2 years later, I sold it and made quite a bit of money on that. Maybe not quite as much money as my duplex did, but I was able to roll those proceeds, again with a 1031 exchange, into another more expensive commercial building. Now, the beauty of the VA loan is really between buying a duplex and buying a quadplex with my VA loan, I've essentially been able to become a millionaire in real estate. The equity in both of these properties, my cabin as well as my commercial building, essentially puts me roughly about $1 million in equity if I were to offload both of those investment properties. And both of those, I utilized my VA loan. I put 0% down. Yes, I had some CapEx and some stuff that I had to fix over the course of owning my duplex for 5 years and owning my quadplex for 2 years. But at the end of the day, the appreciation and just the opportunity in real estate utilizing my VA loan far exceeds sitting in a place, continuing to pay rent, and essentially paying 100% interest. So yes, moving into August 2023, the real estate market kind of sucks right now. And I'll be honest with you, home prices are high. They've not come down. Rents have gone up. So it's not even necessarily even more affordable to rent right now. And then on top of that, if you do decide to buy, interest rates just are too high. Right now, it's technically the most expensive, or not really necessarily most expensive, but least affordable time to buy a house. And when I say that, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a horrible time to buy. A lot of people are waiting, hoping rates do come down or prices do come down, one or the other. Obviously, I would personally love for rates to go down. That means my cabin's going to cash flow even better if I can refinance down from a 7.5% interest rate. But I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but no one really knows what's going to happen moving forward. But what I can tell you is I certainly wasn't scared to get into an investment property out the gate. I knew that there was no way in heck I was going to continue to rent. So by the time I did get that first investment property, I was ecstatic to pay my mortgage every single month rather than pay someone else's. So yes, the real power of utilizing your VA loan could be exceptional. Now, the particular route that I went doesn't necessarily have to be the route that everyone goes. Now, there are a lot of people out there that are essentially trying to mimic what I've been able to do in my local market in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that isn't necessarily possible in another market such as San Diego. For instance, San Diego is a lot more expensive. You probably can't go buy a duplex and a quadplex in the span of 3 or 4 years utilizing your VA loan and not putting any money down. It's just a little bit more expensive of a market. But what I can tell you is I certainly wouldn't be where I am financially today, especially in my total net worth, if I hadn't taken that jump, utilized my VA loan, and purchased a multifamily. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a multifamily. It can be a single family and you rent out the rooms and then move out and turn that into, a room for rent house or rent it to a small family. Either way, you're acquiring a rental property for essentially no money down. And on top of that, you're fully leveraging your VA loan and taking the opportunity to utilize a bank's money to now make you money. So yes, I love the VA loan, love the opportunity that it's given to me. And if you are personally interested in utilizing yours, make sure to reach out to me. I'll get you connected with some of the best real estate agents in your local market and lenders that'll save you thousands. If you want to reach out, just leave a comment in the comment section down below or reach out to me via my Instagram or email in the description below. Thanks again for watching, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe. It really does help. And stay tuned for the next video.